AR Tales is back with another story. This one is about a man who stops paying for his girlfriend's fantasy influencer lifestyle and finds out what is left when the money disappears. While you listen, think about the moment where you would have walked away. My girlfriend said, "Accept it or don't." I replied, "I accept it." Then I cut off my cards, locked my accounts, stopped funding brunches and parties, and just watched as her influencer fantasy crumbled both online and in real life without my money. I am Nathan, 31, a software engineer in Denver. I have been with Chloe for 14 months, living together for 6. She is 28, works part-time at a boutique, and talks all day about becoming a lifestyle influencer. Chloe spends money like she already made it. New outfit for every outing. Expensive brunches where half the time is spent taking pictures of the food. Ubers everywhere because she says public transit ruins her aesthetic. For a long time, I covered most of it because I make good money and thought I was being supportive. Last month, I finally started tracking our expenses. When I added it all up, I sat there staring at the numbers. She was burning through about $3,000 a month on what she called content creation. My house savings were disappearing faster than her followers could double tap. Sometimes, the first honest look at the numbers tells you more about a relationship than any deep talk. So last Tuesday, I brought it up gently. I showed her the budget, walked her through what we were spending, and said maybe we could dial it back and start saving for our future. She looked me in the eye like I had insulted her entire identity. "Stop trying to fix me. This is who I am. You either accept it or you don't." The way she said it, you would think I had demanded something cruel, not basic financial responsibility. I looked back at her and said, "I accept it." She smiled like she had just won an argument. What she did not see was what I meant. I accepted that this is who she is. I just decided I was done funding it. The next morning, I quietly removed her as an authorized user on my credit card. I changed my banking passwords and moved my emergency cash. I did not make a speech. I did not announce anything. I simply stopped volunteering to pay. Friday night, she wanted to go to a trendy rooftop bar. Normally, I would hand over my card without thinking. This time we ordered drinks, they brought the check, and I did nothing. She stared at the bill, then at me. "Babe, aren't you going to?" she said, waiting. "I am letting you be who you are," I said. She laughed at first, then realized I was serious. She ended up calling 3 friends before someone sent her money for the tab. On Sunday, she got dressed up for her usual brunch content. Full outfit, ring light, phone tripod. "Ready," she said. "Ready for what?" I asked. "Brunch, obviously." "Oh, I am not going, have fun." The confusion on her face was real. She could not process that brunch did not automatically mean I was coming and paying. She went alone. When she came back, she admitted she only ordered coffee because she could not afford food. That whole day, she posted vague stories about fake people showing their true colors. It had been 3 weeks since I cut off the funding. She borrowed from friends, maxed out credit cards I did not even know she had, and started doing odd arrangements with businesses for exposure instead of payment. Yesterday, she tried to host a girls' night at our apartment. She posted it like some cute hosted event. When I came home, 6 of her friends were in the living room expecting food and alcohol. Chloe was frantically texting me about wine and cheese boards from the store. I moved all my food to the mini fridge in my office, locked my liquor cabinet, and left a note saying I was spending the evening at my buddy's place. The texts that night were a mix of rage and confusion. Her friends left within an hour because there was nothing to eat or drink. She called me selfish and said I was embarrassing her and sabotaging her friendships. The next morning, she sat at the kitchen table crying. "I don't understand what happened to you," she said. "You used to be so generous." That was the moment I realized she truly thought my constant paying was generosity, not enabling. Sometimes people are not playing dumb. They really do not see the problem because the system has always worked for them. Her whole identity was built around spending money she did not have. Her Instagram, her friend group, her daily routine, her sense of self, all based on keeping up an image she could not afford alone. I thought I was dating someone who was bad with money. Turns out I was sponsoring someone who was disconnected from reality, and it got worse. For everyone asking if she got the message after the failed girls' night, she did not. She switched strategies. The next day she came to me sweet and apologetic, talking about working together and finding balance. She even suggested we make a budget. For about 2 days, I let myself feel hopeful. Then I checked my credit card statement. Even though I had removed her as an authorized user, she had memorized my card number, expiration, and security code months ago. There were over $300 in new charges, delivery food, random Instagram purchases, and a subscription to an influencer analytics platform. When I confronted her, she did not deny it. "You changed the physical card access," she said, "but I still needed those things for my content strategy." At this point, a lot of people would call it what it is, fraud. She called it strategy. I called the bank, reported unauthorized charges, got new card numbers, and set up alerts for every purchase over $5. Her reaction went through what looked like the stages of grief, but for losing access to someone else's money. First denial, then anger, then bargaining with little handwritten payment plans, then cryptic sad posts about betrayal. Acceptance never really arrived. Instead, she went into what I can only call the creative financing phase. She started selling designer clothes online, but only the ones I had not bought. She made a deal with a local coffee shop to post about them for free drinks and pastries. She was there 3 times a day, living off samples. The barista, Marcus, clearly had a crush on her. When I pointed out that she was using his interest for free food and workspace, she said, "It is called networking, Nathan." Then she discovered returning clothes for store credit without receipts. She would buy trendy outfits from a store, take photos, and return them the next day. The store credit went to shampoo, soap, and basic stuff. Her wardrobe turned into a revolving rental rack built on return policies. The turning point for me was when she started using my things as props. One day I came home and found her filming a tech review video with my PlayStation, my laptop, and my camera gear. Full ring light, fake review voice, everything. "Hey babe, can you move? You are in the frame," she said. I asked what she was doing. "Diversifying my content," she said. "Gaming and tech gets great engagement. This setup is normally about $3,000, but I found this amazing deal." She was making up numbers, acting like she had bought equipment she had never paid for, using my belongings as proof of a lifestyle she did not actually have. That night, I moved all electronics into my office and locked the door. Her response was another story about people who do not support your growth and how you have to cut off those who hold you back. The comments were full of friends telling her she deserved better and I was threatened by her success. Success. She had under $50 in her checking account, maxed cards, and no rent contribution in weeks. It became very clear she did not want to be an influencer, she wanted to be famous. She did not want independence, she wanted a sponsor. And once I stopped sponsoring, she went looking for another one. 2 days later, she came home grinning. "Nathan, I figured it out," she said. "I do not need your money anymore." For a moment, I hoped she had gotten a second job or decided to move back with her parents. "I made a deal with Tanner," she said. "Tanner owns a sports bar where college kids drink cheap beer and watch games." She had pitched him a social media partnership. She would post about his bar, bring friends, tag the location. In exchange, free food and drinks whenever she wanted. She was so proud, called it an influencer strategy and proof she did not need anyone else's money. When I asked how many followers she had, she waved the question away. It is about engagement, not numbers. For about a week, it looked like it was working. She went to the bar every night, posted stories, came home late but mostly sober. Then she started coming home later, and more drunk, and talking about Tanner a lot. Last Friday, she did not come home at all. The next morning around 11, she stumbled in wearing the same clothes, makeup smeared, smelling like smoke and cologne. I was at the table with coffee. "How was your night?" I asked. "Fine, just late networking, you would not understand," she said. Then she broke. She started crying for real. "He is not what I thought," she whispered. "The deal is not just posting. He expects other things. He says if I want to be serious about the partnership, I have to show I am committed." There it was, the cost of a life where everything is treated as a transaction. I looked at her and felt nothing. "You told me this is who you are," I said. "I am just letting you live it." She stared at me like I had turned into a stranger. "That is it. That is all you are going to say?" she asked. "This is the strategic business decision you are building. This is what success looks like in the influencer economy," I said, using her own words. It was harsh. It was also true. That was when I realized this was not just about money, it was about values, about how far someone would go to protect an image. On Monday, I started researching how to remove her as a resident. She was not on the lease, which I had always thought was just easier paperwork. Now it meant she had no legal right to stay. That night we talked. "I am giving you 30 days notice," I said. "You need to find somewhere else to live." She looked at me like I had spoken another language. "You cannot kick me out. I live here," she said. "You live here because I pay rent," I said. "You have not contributed to expenses in 2 months." "That is because you cut me off," she said. "I cut you off from my money." "You are free to use your own however you want," I said. She cycled through every option. Tears, promises to get another job, plans to pay everything back. 6 months ago that might have worked, but I had watched her choose fantasy over reality too many times. She alternated between trying to charm me and threatening to expose me on social media. She posted stories about financial abuse and controlling partners. Her friends flooded the comments telling her she deserved better. In a strange way, they were right. She does deserve someone who shares her values. Someone who thinks $3,000 a month on content is reasonable. Someone who wants to sponsor her fantasy. That person is not me. 2 days before the move-out deadline, I came home to chaos. She had turned my apartment into a party. Music blasting, people everywhere, empty bottles, and someone had thrown up in my bathroom sink. She had been promoting it online as her farewell tour, complete with a custom hashtag. She waved at me like I was a guest arriving late. "Nathan, perfect timing. We are doing shots for the farewell post," she said. I called building security for a noise violation. Then I called the police for trespassing. None of these people had my permission to be there. Security showed up first, and half the crowd vanished. The police arrived 20 minutes later. Chloe kept yelling at everyone to stay and not let me ruin this moment. The officer asked to see the lease. I showed him I was the only legal tenant. Chloe insisted she lived there too. The officer asked to see her name on the lease. That was the moment she realized she had never actually had legal ground under her. By midnight, everyone was gone except her, me, 2 officers, and my wrecked apartment. The officer asked if I wanted to press charges for damage. I thought about the stains, broken items, and months of disrespect and said yes. Chloe started crying and begged me not to ruin her life over one mistake. This was not one mistake. This was a long trail of choices finally hitting the wall. The officers asked if she had somewhere to go. She called her dad. He arrived around 2 in the morning, looking exhausted. He took in the mess, the officers, and his daughter and simply asked me, "How much?" I told him about the damages, lost deposits, and complaints. He wrote a check without arguing, then he turned to her. "Get your things. You are coming home," he said. She tried to bargain, asked for a few more days, asked to stay with friends. He cut her off. "You are 28. You have not paid rent in months. You just threw a party in someone else's apartment and ended up with the police here. Your mother and I are done enabling this," he said. She packed while I documented everything. She kept trying to explain her brand strategy, but her dad was not listening. The last thing she said to me was, "This is not over. Everyone is going to know what kind of person you really are." "I hope they do," I said. Her dad apologized as they left, said they had tried to teach responsibility but clearly had more work to do. The next morning, I woke up in a quiet apartment. No ring lights, no tripods, no constant stress over what the next purchase would cost. I spent the weekend cleaning, replacing what needed to be replaced and changing the locks. She once called me controlling, and in a way she was right. I do want control. I want control over my own money, my own space, and my own future. 3 weeks later, I found a condo. 2 bedrooms, one to convert into a home office, good kitchen, downtown view. The sort of place I had been saving for before Chloe turned my budget into content. Yes, I started dating someone new. Emily is an accountant. She is the type of person Chloe would have called boring. She splits every bill. She keeps her own budget. She never expects me to fund her hobbies. She reads, plays piano, volunteers at an animal shelter, and can have whole conversations that do not involve follower counts. On our first dinner, she insisted on paying for her own meal. "I prefer it this way," she said. "It means we are both here because we want to be, not because someone feels obligated." That was when I realized what had been missing. The sense that we were both choosing each other, not one person choosing to pay and the other choosing to consume. A few weeks later, she asked about contributing to groceries since she had been spending more time at my place. She suggested we split a membership at a warehouse store. I almost laughed from the relief. After sponsoring someone else's fantasy, having a partner who looks for ways to contribute felt almost unreal. As for Chloe, her social media has become its own sort of lesson. At first, it was posts about toxic relationships and financial abuse. People who did not know the truth responded with sympathy. Then it shifted to vague quotes about healing after betrayal and finding yourself. She framed moving back home as self-care and focusing on personal growth. After a few weeks, the tone changed again. The photos were clearly from her childhood bedroom, cropped carefully. Lifestyle shots disappeared, replaced by generic quotes. Her follower count started dropping. Recently, she posted about starting a job at her mom's insurance office. She called it exploring new industries and diversifying professional experience. Her latest caption talked about learning the value of financial independence and building a stable foundation. She is working full-time, has a budget, pays her parents' rent, and drives her mom's old car. In other words, she is finally living the life I suggested from the beginning. She just had to lose everything first to see it. The other night, Emily asked if I regret how it all ended, if I wished I had tried harder. I told her the truth. I regret how long I took to see the pattern. I regret confusing love with funding somebody's fantasy. I regret that my boundaries came so late. But I do not regret setting them. I do not regret expecting adult behavior from an adult. And I do not regret learning that when you stop paying for the performance, you see whether there is anything real underneath. With Chloe, there was not. With Emily, there is. Here are the lessons I took from all of this. Lesson 1. When someone tells you, "This is who I am, accept it or don't," believe them. Then decide if you want to live with the reality, not the fantasy. Lesson 2. Paying for someone's lifestyle is not love by itself. If there is no respect and no effort on their side, it becomes financial abuse in disguise. Lesson 3. Boundaries are not punishment. They are simply the point where you stop volunteering to be used. Lesson 4. If a person's whole personality falls apart when money stops flowing, what you were seeing before was performance, not character. Lesson 5. A real partner does not need a sponsor. They want to build something together, even if their contribution is smaller in numbers. Lesson 6. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for both people is stop protecting someone from the consequences of their own choices. What about you? At what point would you have drawn the line in this story? And have you ever watched someone build their identity around money or image in a way that damaged their relationships? Share your thoughts in the comments.